Children ran behind their horses, skipping and laughing. Instead of salutes, voices called to her on every side in a babble of tongues. Some of the free men greeted her as mother, while others begged for boons or favors. Some prayed for strange gods to bless her, and some asked her to bless them instead. She smiled at them, turning right and left, touching their hands when they raised them, letting those who knelt reach up to touch her stirrup or her leg. Many of the freedmen believed there was good fortune in her touch. If it helps give them courage, let them touch me, she thought. There are hard trials yet ahead. Dany had stopped to speak to a pregnant woman who wanted the mother of dragons to name her baby, when someone reached up and grabbed her left wrist. Turning, she glimpsed a tall, ragged man with a shaved head and a sunburned face. "Not so hard," she started to say. But before she could finish, he'd yanked her bodily from the saddle. The ground came up and knocked the breath from her as her silver whinnied and backed away. Stunned, Dany rolled to her side and pushed herself onto one elbow. And then she saw the sword. "There's the treacherous sow," he said. "I knew you'd come to get your feet kissed one day." His head was bald as a melon, his nose red and peeling. But she knew that voice, and those pale green eyes. "I'm gonna start by cutting off your teats." Dany was dimly aware of Missandei, shouting for help. A freedman edged forward, but only a step. One quick slash and he was on his knees, blood running down his face. Mero wiped his sword on his breeches. "Who's next?" "I am." Arstan Whitebeard leapt from his horse and stood over her, the salt wind riffling through his snowy hair, both hands on his tall, hardwood staff. "Grandfather," Mero said, "run off before I break your stick in two and bugger you with it." The old man feinted with one end of the staff, pulled it back, and whipped the other end about faster than Dany would have believed. The Titan's bastard staggered back into the surf, spitting blood and broken teeth from the ruin of his mouth. Whitebeard put Dany behind him. Mero slashed at his face. The old man jerked back, cat quick. The staff thumped Mero's ribs, sending him reeling. Arstan splashed sideways, parried a looping cut, danced away from a second, checked a third mid-swing. The moves were so fast she could hardly follow. Missandei was pulling Dany to her feet when she heard a crack. She thought Arstan's staff had snapped, until she saw the jagged bone jutting from Mero's calf. As he fell, the Titan's bastard twisted and lunged, sending his point straight at the old man's chest. Whitebeard swept the blade aside, almost contemptuously, and smashed the other end of his staff against the big man's temple. Mero went sprawling, blood bubbling from his mouth as the waves washed over him. A moment later, the freedmen washed over him too, knives and stones, and angry fists rising and falling in a frenzy. Dany turned away, sickened. She was more frightened now than when it had been happening. He would have killed me. "Your Grace," Arstan knelt. "I'm an old man, and shamed. He should never have gotten close enough to seize you. I was lax. I did not know him without his beard and hair." "No more than I did." Dany took a deep breath to stop her shaking. Enemies everywhere. "Just take me back to my tent, please." By the time Mormont arrived, She was huddled in her lion pelt, drinking a cup of spice wine. "I had a look at the river wall," 𝗟𝗏𝗂 stated. "It's a few feet higher than the others, and just as strong. The Myronese have a dozen firehawks tied up beneath the ramparts." She cut him off. "You might have warned me the Titan's bastard had escaped." He frowned. "I saw no need to frighten you, Your Grace. I've offered a reward for his head." "Pay it to Whitebeard." Mero had been with us all the way from Yunkai. He shaved his beard off and lost himself amongst the freedmen, waiting for a chance for vengeance. Arstan killed him. 𝗟𝗏𝗂 gave the old man a long look. "A squire with a stick slew Mero of Braavos. Is that the way of it?" "A stick," Danny confirmed, "but no longer a squire. 𝗟𝗏𝗂, it's my wish that Arstan be knighted." "No." The loud refusal was surprise enough. Stranger still, it came from both men at once. 𝗟𝗏𝗂 drew his sword. "The Titan's bastard was a nasty piece of work. Good at killing. Who are you, old man?" "A better knight than you, sir," Arstan said, coldly. "Knight?" Danny was confused. "You said you were a squire." "I was, Your Grace." He dropped to one knee. "I squired for Lord Swan in my youth, and at Magister Illyria's behest I have served strong 𝗟𝗏𝗂𝗃 as well. But during my years between, I was a knight in Westeros. I have told you no lies, my queen. Yet there are truths I have withheld, and for that, and all of my other sins, I can only beg your forgiveness." "What truths have you withheld?" Danny did not like this. "You will tell me, now." He bowed his head. "At Qarth, you asked my name. I said I was called Arstan. That much was true. Many men had called me by that name while 𝗟𝗏𝗂𝗃 and I were making our way east to find you. But it is not my true name." He was more confused than angry. He had played me false, just as 𝗟𝗏𝗂 had warned me. Yet he saved my life just now. 𝗟𝗏𝗂 flushed red. "Mero shaved his beard, but you grew one, didn't you? No wonder you looked so bloody familiar." "You know him?" Danny asked the exiled knight. Lost. "I saw him perhaps a dozen times. From afar most often, standing with his brothers or riding in some tourney. But every man in the 7 Kingdoms knew Barristan the Bald." He laid the point of his sword against the old man's neck. "Khaleesi, before you kneel Sir Barristan Selmy, Lord Commander of the King's Guard, who betrayed your house to serve the usurper, Robert Baratheon." The old knight did not so much as blink. "The crow calls the raven black, and you speak of betrayal." "Why are you here?" Danny demanded of him. "If Robert sent you to kill me, why did you save my life?" "He served the usurper. He betrayed Rhaegar's memory and abandoned Viserys to live and die in exile. Yet if he wanted me dead, he need only have stood aside." "I want the whole truth, now. On your honor as a knight, are you the usurper's man, or mine?" "Yours, if you will have me." Sir Barristan had tears in his eyes. "I took Robert's pardon. I served him in Kingsguard and Council. Served with the Kingslayer and others near as bad who soiled the white cloak I wore. Nothing will excuse that. I might be serving in King's Landing still if the vile boy upon the Iron Throne had not cast me aside. It shames me to admit. But when he took the cloak that the White Bull had draped about my shoulders and sent men to kill me that self-same day, it was as though he'd ripped a caul off my eyes. That was when I knew I must find my true king and die in his service." "I can grant that wish," Sir Jorah said, darkly. "Quiet," said Dany. "I'll hear him out." "It may be that I must die a traitor's death," Sir Barristan said. "If so, I should not die alone. Before I took Robert's pardon, I fought against him on the Trident. You were on the other side of that battle, Mormont, were you not?" He did not wait for an answer. "Your Grace, I am sorry I misled you. It was the only way to keep the Lannisters from learning that I had joined you. You are watched, as your brother was. Lord Varys reported every move Viserys made, for years. Whilst I sat on the small council, I heard 100 such reports. And since the day you wed Khal Drogo, there has been an informer by your side, selling your secrets, trading whispers to the spider, for gold and promises." "He cannot mean. You are mistaken." Dany looked at Jorah Mormont. "Tell him he's mistaken. There's no informer, Sir Jorah. Tell him. We crossed the Dothraki Sea together. And the Red Waste." Her heart fluttered like a bird in a trap. "Tell him, Jorah. Tell him how we got it wrong." "The others take you, Selmy." Sir Jorah flung his longsword to the carpet. "Khaleesi, it was only at the start. Before I came to know you. Before I came to love—" "Do not say that word." She backed away from him. "How could you? What did the usurper promise you? Gold? Was it gold?" The Undying had said she would be betrayed twice more. Once for gold, and once for love. "Tell me what you were promised." "Varys said I might go home." He bowed his head. "I was going to take you home." The dragons sensed her fury. Viserion roared, and smoke rose grey from his snout. Drogon beat the air with black wings, and Rhaegal twisted his head back and belched flame. I should say the word and burn the two of them. Was there no one she could trust? No one to keep her safe? Are all the knights of Westeros so false as you two? Get out, before my dragons roast you both. What does roast liar smell like? As foul as Brown Ben's sewers? Go." Sir Barristan rose stiff and slow. For the first time, he looked his age. "Where shall we go, Your Grace?" "To hell, to serve King Robert." Dany felt hot tears on her cheeks. Drogon screamed, lashing his tail back and forth. "The others can have you both! Go away forever, both of you. The next time I see your faces, I'll have your traitors' heads off." She could not say the words, though. They betrayed me, but they saved me. But they lied. "You go, my bear," My fierce strong bear. What will I do without him? And the old man, my brother's friend. You go. Where? And then she knew.